Kylo Ren speaking with Darth Vader's destroyed helmet in The Force Awakens was a standout moment for many and really served to illustrate Kylo's mindset at the time. But what is really happening in this scene, and does it all make sense when we break everything down and look at it under a microscope? Is Kylo really speaking to his grandfather, or could it be someone far more sinister with horrid intentions? The big thing that doesn't perfectly add up here is of course that Darth Vader returned to the light side of the Force in Return of the Jedi, and was allowed to transcend the physical plane, becoming a Force ghost. It is made very clear that the purpose for Kylo speaking to Vader's mask is not to lead him towards the light, but cement him in the dark. Kylo even says that the Supreme Leader senses his pull to the light, and that he requires Vader to show him the darkness. As we do know, it is impossible for dark side users to become Force ghosts, so what is actually happening? Now we must address a very glaring and important thing we received after the initial release for The Force Awakens. In concept art, the Force ghost of Anakin Skywalker is featured, but it's different and quite distorted, with it appearing he is caught between the light and dark, and the presence of darkness within has not fully left him. Interestingly enough, this actually has happened before. In the EU, Darth Revan was caught between the light and the dark, leading up to his death. But the key difference is that Revan actually split into two parts, with the darker half living on after Revan's initial demise, and the light becoming more spirit-like. Now of course, to our current knowledge, Vader did indeed physically die in Return of the Jedi, and his hatred did not bring him back to life post-mortem. Another very important thing we need to take into account is the helmet itself. In some very unique cases in Star Wars, objects or locations can be imbued with certain connections to the Force. A good example of this is when Leia actually sensed great hatred and anger while on Naboo, at the site where Darth Maul was cut in half, decades after it originally happened. If there were any objects in the Star Wars universe that retained this feeling, Darth Vader's helmet would most certainly be at the top of the list. This could be what is going on with Kylo, but he seems to be having more of a conversation, not just experiencing a feeling. Now I want to discuss and address one of the biggest and most glaring issues about it being Vader who he is speaking to. Darth Vader was a Lord of the Sith, and not just any Lord of the Sith, but a very dedicated member to its cause. Because of this, it perplexes me that Kylo is not on this path, and is not on the road to becoming a Sith Lord himself. Vader was extremely dedicated to the dark side, and fully relied on its power above all else, but interestingly enough, this view is something Kylo's very master does not share. Supreme Leader Snoke in The Force Awakens novelization is stated to directly have targeted Kylo because of his powerful lineage, and because he has a very interesting relationship with both the light and dark side of the Force. These two very important reasons are why in fact Snoke targeted and manipulated Kylo. Snoke sees this yin and yang power within Kylo to be extraordinary and wants to maintain it. This is why I believe Snoke would deter Kylo from the path of the Sith. Not the path of the dark side, but the Sith, which is something that directly combats a large part of who Darth Vader was. Again, going back to the scene with Vader's helmet, by what Kylo says, he knows that Snoke feels the light within him, and it might just be that Snoke doesn't want to extinguish fully the light within Kylo, as the combination of light and dark is what makes him as strong in the Force as he is. It would make no sense for Snoke to attempt to rid Kylo of one of the very reasons he finds him so valuable and powerful in the first place. It is for this fact that I believe it is actually Snoke speaking with Kylo and manipulating him into what he wants him to be. It could be that Snoke wanted Kylo for his own, but saw that he lacked the familial bond and connection to fully sway him, and thus, faked it. Snoke could have actually gone to Kylo as a Vader pretender, tempting him to the dark, and forming him into the perfect warrior for the First Order and Knights of Ren. Kylo conversing with the very spirit of Vader could in fact be a very scary thing for Snoke, as it is the way of the Sith to kill their masters and take their place as ruler. Yet another reason why Snoke would want to deter it, even if it were possible. In many ways, Kylo speaking to his grandfather while leading him towards the darkness would also lead Snoke into the path of danger. Importantly, we have even seen Snoke do this before. After Rey defeats Kylo on the Starkiller base, she hears the voice of Snoke, prompting her to kill Kylo and give in to her hatred. I believe something very similar is going on with Vader's helmet. It is my theory that Snoke has tricked Kylo into believing he is conversing with his grandfather, when in reality, he is actually speaking with the Supreme Leader. This would give Snoke complete and utter control over the boy, twisting him into doing whatever he needs from him. And the cruel revelation could be that just as he views his parents and Luke as deceiving him about his grandfather, he is being deceived once again by his master, with foul purposes in mind for his future. Han Solo even tells Kylo that he knows that Snoke is using him and that he needs to return home. It would be unwise for the great wise Supreme Leader to assume he could fully manipulate Kylo on his own, and would thus need to place other things that would assist him in totally maintaining control over Kylo. So how will this all play out if it's true? Well, not very well, I assume. Kylo sees himself as someone who is constantly lied to and betrayed, and he hates it. Receiving the revelation that Snoke too has deceived him would be a fitting twist for him. This could also be very important for Kylo's overall development as a character. Although I will go more in depth at a future date, I do believe that Kylo will return to the light. Whether or not he is able to save himself from what he's done is the big question though. In the end, I believe the revelation will come from Anakin Skywalker, who will come to Kylo as a transcended Force ghost and truly reveal all to his grandson, showing him his mistakes and the ones that have now been echoed through the generations. So that was my Vader helmet theory. It took a long time to write and craft, so if you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. Even if you don't agree, I still hope at the very least you were entertained. Thank you all so much for being awesome, may the Force be with you, and have a great day.